The weather and the effects of weather warnings that we're seeing on the West Coast. You will have seen that there are parts of the West Coast that are currently being evacuated by teams over the course of the day. We are at the moment expecting that the weather down there is likely to mirror a similar event in 2012. We are closely monitoring the situation. The New Zealand Defence Force are already en route with the capabilities that you'd usually expect in these circumstances to provide additional support in the country. We can continue on. There's always more work to be done, but in my view, that will be the case with a document that is a living document, where we're constantly striving to be better partners as government. But we've made enormous progress over even the past year, but it is about looking forward as well.
Yeah, with the border plan, are you concerned that we might lose workers such as nurses?
Well, of course, we've equally seen workers coming in. New Zealand is in demand, and we've made special provision to ensure that critical workers, really closely with there's been areas in which particularly we're ensuring that we are able to, as it becomes a multi, also been working closely on we're learning and developing along the way. We're using to improve and ensure that every stage is better than the last. We know that there's always more that we could be doing, but I'm confident that what we've done here in New Zealand has protected all our people, including Māori. On the reopening dates, we've been very deliberate in choosing to reopen at the time that we have to enable as many people as possible to be eligible for their booster. In fact, 92% by the time we reopen will be eligible for that booster, and I encourage everyone to go out and take up that opportunity.
Groups in Māoridom that there hasn't. Even this week, I think we've met with Māori, the iwi chairs 3 times. During the height of Delta last year, I was meeting with 3 groups, different groups each week. So there's been a lot of conversations and we've taken on board a lot of the ideas that they've come up with.
Not necessarily, but go ahead with your question.
Are you concerned by that stage that the immunity on boosters for a lot of people will have effect?
Earlier this week, Dr. Ian Town, who's the lead on our clinical advisory team on vaccinations, referring to the fact that there's not yet clinical data submitted from pharmaceutical companies, the likes of Pfizer, around the need for a 4th shot. For premature for us to be commenting on that at this stage. It is early stages. It's not yet, as far as I can see from what we're hearing our experts say, conclusive as to what waning effects we're seeing. Now, look, severe illness and death, more so than just 2 doses. So I encourage everyone. Many became eligible today. Please go and get your booster. You have a chance to do it before Omicron is widespread.
There were not huge queues here today.
Just opened, to be fair to them.
They're not queuing out the doors. Are you at all concerned? This is supposed to be a big day for the booster.
Oh, look, we announced on Wednesday the extension. So 48 hours later, the ability to has now kicked off. We expect, of course, over time to see that urgency or at least that demand increase. An extra stage to go through, and that's the Director General to make recommendations to us as ministers around its use. My understanding is that that was approval for primary doses. So approval for dose 1 and 2. So one final stage, but we'll move very quickly on that. And it adds then to the suite of vaccines that we have available to us in New Zealand. Sorry, what was that? No, those. With the Ministry of Health, they said earlier this week that there are plans to run campaigns alongside the booster program to encourage uptake and to create the same energy we saw out of Super Saturdays. So I'll leave them to release a few more details in the future on that.
Could New Zealand
yeah,
still
sure.
be in red by the time we open up to Australia at the end of the month?
Look, the criteria for us moving out of red is quite straightforward. We want to know that we are managing COVID within New Zealand in such a way that it's not placing to New Zealand's experience of Omicron a sign of success. We went early with our public health measures. We've got good vaccine uptake, and that's vaccine uptake that's been recent, so that may well be helping. And of course, we continue to see booster uptake. So that is helping. But we're very clear, it's likely to spread. It is slow the spread. It will not stop the spread of Omicron. So we still want people to get boosted.
Tony Blake this morning said effectively, let it go quickly so that it leaves quicker.
I don't know that Tony would necessarily characterise his comments necessarily in that way, because we need to make decisions that are about ensuring New Zealanders get the health care they need when they need it.
National says the government isn't building enough social housing. What's your response?
Well, of course, one of the main priorities of this government has been, when we came into office and were facing a housing crisis where the last National government had continuously sold off our state housing, was to rebuild our public housing stock. And we've done that at an incredible rate, rates we haven't seen in decades. Some added benefit in terms of public health measures, because it is more likely that people are outside, easier to social distance, better ventilation, and all of that does help with management.
The requirement for returning to self-isolation.
Yep.
How long do you envisage that will remain in place? Will it be the rest of this year at least? What do you
Look, I would not anticipate that. You see, even Omicron has only, for instance, been with us as a variant of concern, according to the World Health Organization, since the end of November. You can see how dramatically things have changed. A very attractive place to come. 19. So we want to make sure that New Zealanders who are here have the least impact on their daily lives as possible, and that will help us attract others to come in as well. So it's a constant balance, but one I think we've got right.
70% of eligible adults have been boosted.
And then I'll come and finish with you if I may.
Do you think there's any more hesitancy when it comes to the booster as opposed to the second shot of Pfizer vaccine? Like, what are you hearing? If you have friends, for example, say to you, I'm just going to wait for the booster.
But wait for the booster for... there isn't that same period of time to get the full benefit of your vaccine, so please don't delay, get it today. One final thing I'd quickly add. You'd heard Dr. Bloomfield at the beginning of the week mentioned the side effects that people experience with vaccines, which we all have come to expect, a sign that the vaccine's doing what it should. He did note that they appear to be of a lesser degree for the booster than, for instance, say the second. So if that's cause for anyone's hesitancy, I thought it was a notable observation from our Director General.
It might be useful to be there for you, or if you're travelling to New Zealand and can't self-isolate from a vulnerable part of the game.
Yeah, look, there is of course, in the future we anticipate or have to prepare for a larger number of cases. So that means there won't be necessarily the same capacity to provide accommodation that we have in the past. For any incoming travellers who may have that concern, I would encourage them to work through their options if they are worried about self-isolating with other whānau, but for the most part, of course, many are like